Well, I think it's time that in FreeCAD we make the brush. All right, so we're here in the new part environment. We're in the part design workbench. We are good to go. I'm going to start by making a sketch, and I'll do so on the XZ plane. You may want to orient your part differently depending on your design intent, but that's the beauty of CAD. You do it your way. Now, we'll make these endpoints horizontal. We're going to say R for radius. You'll notice right about here is the keyboard monitor, so if you need to see my hotkeys, you sure can. And we'll go something like 4.72441, which is a strange thing, but I'm working between inches and millimeters here, so that's the reason for the strange dimensions. Next, I'll add one more horizontal from here to the origin. I'll grab a single line here. We'll go V to add a vertical constraint. We'll go I, which I still miss the old hotkeys in FreeCAD, 0.0787402. Interesting dimension. And then we'll say L, which I really miss Shift H. I think that was the best hotkey ever. So there's 4 inches there, and we'll close. But one thing before we close, I do want to flip my dimensions. I can use this button to flip my dimensions as driven. And from the origin to this arc center, I care about that dimension, 4.28019. So we're just going to have that there for later. Next, let's do another sketch. This time, I'll do it on my ZY plane or YZ plane, depending on how you want to say it. I'm going to add one arc. I'll make sure that my dimensions are driving now, and I'll add a vertical on my arc center to the origin. And we're going to say H for horizontal from point to point. We're going to say R, radius, and I want to give that about 200 millimeters. What does that convert to? I think 7, almost 8 inches. We're going to say 200 divided by 25.4. Yeah, almost 8 inches. And then we're going to say coincident. From there, right on the origin. All right. We're going to go L. Again, I really miss the Shift H, but I'll stop whining about it. We're going to say 6.49606, just like that. So I have a fully constrained path and profile. So from here, we can very easily run I would call it a sweep. We're going to go from here to object, and we choose our path. There it is. Bam. Perfect. All right, from here, we'll create a sketch. I'm going to make a circle, and I can tell, when you get that constraint right there by the mouse, we'll zoom in on that. The coincident on point constraint, just like that. We know that we're on the origin, but you can always click this to see the origin if you wish, right? So you can cut away any solids that are in your way. I just want a big circle. So I'm going to say R for radius. We'll give that a radius of 5, looks good. We'll close, and I can cut through all. And that leaves us with more or less an ellipse, which is perfect. Next, let's start working on a bristle. We're going to create a new sketch, YZ plane. And I'm going to do my best to sketch out a bristle. I will cut away my view here. So I'm going to make 2 vertical lines. I'll make an arc. Yeah, I can do a center point arc. That will somewhat run between them like that. I can start adding dimensions. I'm going to say R, and I'll say 0.039371. Again, we're working very small because running between millimeters and inches and whatnot. So let's add a vertical dimension. On this line, we're going to say 0.590551. And then we can add a horizontal between our other vertical line right there. I'll say 0.019685. Then I'll go from the bottom of this line to the origin. We'll grab a vertical dimension and go from the bottom of this line to the origin. And 0.393701. Grab a horizontal constraint, right, bottom of this line, bottom of that line, just like that. Next. Right there. All right, so we've got a bristle. Let's close and revolve. And there we've got a revolved bristle. All right, next thing. We care about some of the sketches that we've made. So I can use the space bar and show some of these. I would like to get into my very first sketch and just make sure I remember 4.28019. And what I would like to do is grab an axis, or it's called a datum line, but to me it's just an axis. So I'll stand on my y-axis here, grab my datum line, and then I think in its x direction, right? We say 4, not in the x direction. So in the y direction, we're going to say 4.28019. And we've gone in the other direction. So if it doesn't look. Instead of flipping sides, we're just going to put a negative sign in front, right? There we are. We're going to say OK to that. Next, I want to stand on my x-axis. Grab my line. And on my x-axis, I guess it's still going to be in the y direction. We're going to say negative 200 millimeters. Just like that. Perfect. So this marks the center of this arc, and this marks the center axis of this arc. And we want to have those references because now I'm going to do a multi-pattern. So we come over here, multi-pattern. We're going to choose a revolution. And let's pattern it this way. So I'll choose this as my center, right? We right-click, we add a polar pattern. And then we're going to go right over to the select reference, and this will be our reference. Now we're going to say, 23 degrees. And see how that works, right? So at 23 degrees, we have this bristle. And I could up it to 24. It's kind of tempting. That looks a bit better. So 24, and let's go with 9 occurrences and see how that looks. That's not too bad, right? That looks kind of like a brush. So we're going to say OK to that. Now we're going to add in another polar pattern. And obviously it's trying to rotate it around our y-axis, but I wish to select a reference, go around this axis, and instead of 360 degrees, we'll give it something like 15. Let's see what that looks like. Not bad. Let's say 19. Too much. 17. Okay, I'm going to do 18. So at 18 degrees, you can see that we have the bodies that show up and then red bodies. So this is a great feature in FreeCAD. I think it really extends your abilities to pattern because of this. The bodies in red simply are not going to show up after the pattern is done, but the pattern succeeds. You can see right here, transformation succeeded, but we have 6 transformations that will not show up. So now I can up my number of occurrences. Let's see what 15 looks like. Not bad, maybe a little bit dense. I'll go down to 10. I like that. So we're going to OK that. Now, of course, we'll want to mirror. Fortunately, we have that right here where I can right click, add mirror transformation. Great. You know what? I can accept that right off. We're going to say OK to that. Now let's try mirroring it across again. Now, at this point, I'm asking a lot of FreeCAD. This is a lot of patterning with a lot of bodies that aren't conforming. So we'll see how it works if I try to mirror across yet another spot here. So I do want to specify, I'll do my YZ plane. And that worked. Excellent. If that didn't work for some reason, I also could consider doing a 180 degree circular pattern to get the bristles on the other side that way. But if that works, then I'm happy. So we're going to say OK and accept that multi-pattern. Done. How great is that? So in the top view, everything looks great. Love it. Next, we probably want to make a handle and the rest of the body. So first thing I'll do, I'll make this in multiple parts. We're going to sketch on this bottom face here. So here we can go to Sketch, Sketcher Geometries, and I'm going to add an ellipse by center. There and there. And looks like we can pivot our ellipse around a little bit. So I'm going to go vertical, select this point and the origin. Just like that. We'll say vertical dimension. And from here, we'll go with something like 2.95276. And then horizontal dimension. Similar thing, 2.28346. Beautiful. We'll close. And then we'll extrude that. I'm going to say 0.59. Next, let's work on a handle, right? Sketch on the bottom face. And I'll add in my external reference there. So we've got, I think, yeah, that's a perfect ellipse, all right. And I can add in there, and I'll grab my tangent relation with T. Here and here. And I can start making some dimensions. I'll give a vertical here and here while I'm at it, and then here to the origin. So we can say something like radius of 7.08. Yeah. Vertical dimension here. We'll go to the arc center. 7.5 maybe. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe I can add a larger radius here of 1.25. Yeah, I'm liking that. All right, now I can either mirror everything, or I can just close this off with straight lines and then mirror the other half of the handle. I think it's easier for the kernel if I just do a complete sketch here. So I'll say S for symmetric, and I'll choose the point of my arc, the point of my other arc, and my line of symmetry. And the same thing, point on my arc, point on the other arc, point of symmetry. And of course we are over constrained. I'll just hit Control Z. Right, so if I click and drag and say where are we not constrained, it looks like I just need a tangent, so I'll say T for tangent. There. Maybe one other thing, E for equal. Fully constrained. right? I'll take the easy way out and make a straight line. We'll close. We'll choose pad or extrude, depending on whatever your tastes are. And we're going to say to geometry. Up to face is what they call it in this platform, of course. And there it is. That looks like a kind of a wide handle after I've extruded it. I mean, of course it does, right? It always happens that way when you're designing on the fly. So we'll double click Sketch 005, and I think I can change this geometry to maybe 8 radius, and then we'll take this down to 0.8. Maybe I'll make that 7. Close that. Yeah, not too bad. All right, so what do we want to do now? Maybe sketch on this face. There we go. So I've imported some geometry. We'll do an arc. Just like that, T for tangent. Same thing. We'll make an arc out here. And S for symmetric. I do like constraining individual points. We'll go point, point, axis, point, point, axis, point, point, axis. I like the design intent there. And then I'll probably move this down just like that. It's not bad. R for radius, 0.38. Actually, that's a beautiful radius. Same thing here. Both a radius of, oh, did that not take? Looks like it doesn't like having the radius defined. Probably because of all the symmetrics that I've done. And indeed, I cannot, yeah, it looks like we are only, of course we are, right? Our only degree of freedom is there. So we'll go with a vertical, negative 6.75, love it. And then I think lastly, I'll just add an arc. Everything is symmetric, so I think all I have to do is add T for tangent, and then we'll close. We'll extrude cut, or pocket if you like to use that set of terminology. We're going to say through all. Next, how about I grab this edge and we add a fillet. And in the fillet, we'll up that a little higher. You know, let's go even higher. Higher. All right, so it looks like we've got the top fillet. Let's work on the bottom fillet. This should go at least to 1/4 of an inch. There you go. You know, I like the way that looks, so I'll keep that. And then fillet here. That's cool. That's a huge fillet, but I like the way that it looks. Let's see if I can add that to the bottom, right? So we're going to say select there, and then preview. Yeah. It kind of eats away the thickness a little bit, but not bad. Okay. Well, I think that is as far as I can go with this brush. Of course, you can always highlight your part and go to View and then Appearance and choose whatever color that you would like for your part. Bright green. Ooh, that's a bit too bright in my opinion. But either way. And then you can also View, and I should actually select a face, right, and say View, Color per Face, and then of course select a face. I can make that black, right, and so on, so you can color your part. So that was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if this was helpful. See you in the next one.